I managed to catch 100 shiny Litwick in Pokémon Scarlet and Violet and traded them all away. Surprise Trade is a feature in Pokémon games that allows players to randomly trade with one another. You can choose almost any Pokémon you want to send, but the surprise is that you don't know who you end up trading with and what you will receive back until everything is done. A newly hatched starter? You got it. A German Riolu? No problem. A questionable shiny Lapras with every ribbon known to man on it? Sure, I guess. The point is that although it's a huge gamble, there's a fun little excitement not knowing what you'll get. And I figured that, well, I have all these shiny Litwick just chilling in my boxes. Why not just give them out randomly? So here's my story of trading away 100 shiny Litwick. So let's back up for a sec. You might be thinking, how in the world did I catch 100 shiny candles? Well, back in December of 2023, a mass outbreak event of Litwick were spawning in Kitakami. With another insane shiny rate of 1 out of 200, no sandwiches or a charm needed, I knew it was time to catch at least a couple of them, which ended up being a bit more than that. Yet another gold mine for shinies. Overall, the hunt took about 4 days to complete, which was really fast for catching 100 of them, practically speedrunning this hunt. There were even times where 2 shiny Litwick spawned at the same time. Now, along the way, I was able to catch 7 of them with marks. 2 Dawn, 2 Uncommon, 2 Sleepy Time, and 1 Cloudy mark. Now, I could trade these away just like the rest of them, but to be honest, I kinda just wanted to keep them for myself, so I did. But don't worry, I caught 7 more regular shinies just to make up for it. And on top of all this, Litwick weren't the only shiny Pokemon I found. I also managed to find 2 Nosepass, a Mudbray, and a Bombardier. Wait, is that shiny? Oh. No, oh, okay. Well, if you wanted to hunt for shiny Litwick yourself, I definitely recommend finding a mass outbreak in the Paradise Barrens. It's a great open space to see all of the Pokemon in the area with nothing to block your view. The difference between regular and shiny Litwick is a bit subtle, but not the worst I've seen for hunting. After collecting all of them, there was one more thing I wanted to do before I started the trades. Give them nicknames. Now honestly, I don't normally nickname my Pokemon, so I'm definitely not the best at giving them creative names. Nonetheless, I was determined to give each and every one of them a fun name. I started out okay, with fun names like Candle, Wax, and Bernie, but unfortunately, brain power was at an all-time low. And so, I just named them after a bunch of random characters from games and shows that I like. This here is Tressa. Up next, so I named this off because everyone say hello to next up is Call of Duty. And with that, it was time for these little babies to be sent off. I also documented the entire process of trading them away as a YouTube short series. So if you're interested, link in the description below. Now, I know I said earlier that surprise trades are pretty fun because you don't know what you're getting, but there was one tiny thing that I was worried about. These are hacked Pokemon. Sometimes called Gend, they're Pokemon that were generated by a bot and then sent out through surprise trade. They're still quote-unquote legal Pokemon in that it still passes all the checks put in place by Game Freak, but it's still hacked in that it wasn't created legitimately through normal in-game methods. The best way you can tell if it's hacked is if it has a website URL for a nickname or the owner's name. It'll also most likely be shiny and have perfect IVs. It's not for me personally. As a test to see how often I'd get hacked Pokemon, I did 10 surprise trades beforehand, and I got 4 of them. I know this is a small sample size, but knowing that possibly 40% of my trades might lead to unwanted Pokemon had me a bit discouraged. In the end, I said screw it, and went through with my plans anyways. Fortunately, after all 100 trades were done, I only got 7 hacked Pokemon back. A Gible, a Feebas, 2 Hisuian Zorua, 2 Lapras from the exact same website, and an Iron Leaves. Unfortunately, that means that 7 of my shiny Litwick are now lost in surprise trade purgatory. So, a moment of silence for my fallen ones. Okay, I'm over it. Onto the stats. Let's start with the languages. Unsurprisingly, English was the most common one with 60 Pokemon, followed by Japanese at 21. At number 3 is Spanish with 7 Pokemon, and number 4 is a tie between French and Chinese Simplified with 3 Pokemon each. At number 5 is a tie between Italian, German, and Korean with 2 Pokemon each. And finally, coming in last is Chinese traditional with no Pokemon at all. Held items were mostly dominated by hacked Pokemon. 3 ability patches, 1 extra large experience candy, and a Master Ball. There was actually 1 legit Pokemon that did come with an item though. A Heracross with an Occaberry. Not the rarest item in the world, but I appreciate the gift nonetheless. It even came from the future. Thank you, kind stranger. As far as marks go, 3 legitimate Pokemon I received had marks. A Jigglypuff and Igglybuff with Dawn marks, and an Alomomola with a Sleepy Time mark. The 2 hacked Lapras and Iron Leaves also had marks, but holy cow, look at all these ribbons. The most common Pokemon I received overall was actually Hisui and Zorua, with a total of 3. Though 2 of them were hacked, so I don't know if you guys would count that. Otherwise, it would just be a huge tie between a bunch of Pokemon that I got twice. So out of all of these Pokemon, which ones did I think were the best? Well, in terms of nicknames, I think the most memorable one was the one that came with this Poliwag, just cause it got a good chuckle out of me. Ooh, a Poliswag. Any Pokemon that were fairly difficult to get were also very nice to see. For example, I received 7 starter Pokemon. A Froakie, a Turtwig, 2 Fuecoco, a hidden ability Sprigatito, a Poplio, and a Mudkip. Babies. Every single one of them. Version exclusives were also really nice to get. I have Violet, so seeing Scarlet exclusives like Larvitar and Dragalge were pretty cool. There was also a time when I traded with the exact same person twice. I received 2 of his Applin, while he got 2 of my shiny boys. I hope you enjoy them, Trevor. But I think out of all of the Pokemon I got, there was one that caught my interest the most. A Vivillon. Oh, what pattern is that? Vivillon is a Pokemon introduced in Generation 6, whose wing pattern will vary depending on the region the player is located in. The one I got in particular was the Tundra pattern, only available in Norway, Iceland, and Hokkaido, Japan. With 20 patterns in total, it can be pretty difficult to get all of them, which was one of the reasons I, a simple Californian, was happily surprised with this one. But then I remembered that region-locked patterns only apply to Gen 6 and 7. Gen 9, however, is a bit different. As it turns out, there's only 1 Vivillon pattern that spawns in the game, regardless of the region the player is from. The Fancy pattern. Originally an event-exclusive Pokemon from almost 10 years ago, which I'm not gonna lie, that's kinda scary to think about, the pattern is now readily available in these games. But in order to get different patterns, you would need the help of another game, Pokémon Go. If you connect Pokemon Go to the mystery gift feature in Scarlet and Violet, you can send a postcard, which will change all wild Vivillon to the pattern that corresponds to the postcard's region. The only way you can get these postcards are by actually going to those regions or having someone who is there send them to you. Bearing all this in mind, I think this definitely takes the #1 spot for the best Pokemon I received. Overall, a really fun experience. Not only to catch a ton of shinies, but also to randomly share them. Sure, maybe some of the stuff I received back weren't the greatest, but if all of my efforts made at least a couple of people happy, then I think it was all worth it. Thank you to everyone whose Pokemon I received, and thank you for watching.